Morecambe FC have just appointed a fellow by the name of Ashvir Singh Johal as their first manager in what is a groundbreaking moment for English football. Johal is aged 30 and he is about to become the first Sikh manager to take charge of a professional British football club. He's also the youngest manager across all of Britain's top 5 divisions, and his hiring came very, very quickly following a dramatic takeover of Morecambe. If you're not aware, Morecambe have been in the news recently because they have completely gone to the wall. New owners have come in, and the new owners have quickly dispatched the very popular manager that Johal is about to take over in Derek Adams. Now, he was sacked literally a day after the new owners, known as the Panjab Warriors, saved Morecambe from the brink of extinction. And there was a lot of people gathering around and rallying around Morecambe because of the fact that they could have gone to the wall with this. Now, the significance of Johal's appointment has been widely noted. Anti-discrimination group Kick It Out have hailed it as history made, calling it a fully deserved and also significant milestone for representation in leadership within the game. For a sport where British South Asian representation in coaching has been almost non-existent, Johal's ascent is a landmark that many hope can inspire some change. Now, I am seeing a lot of people on social media asking, is this a diversity hire? And I'll be honest with you, when I first saw that he was appointed and the age of him, I didn't know anything about him. So I thought, well, I don't know. I'm going to look into this and see where he's come from, what he's all about. And as I was doing that, I thought, actually, this is make a pretty interesting video. So here we go. Is Johal a diversity appointment? Well, the answer to that is unequivocally absolutely not. Now, he might be a relative newcomer to first team management, but he brings with it a very impressive coaching resume. Unlike many other managers, he's not played professional football. And if you remember the video we did couple of months ago, looking at Will Still, he's got a similar sort of background to Will Still, someone that's been coaching since he was a teenager, steadily climbed the ranks over more and more responsibility over a decade in the game. So let's have a look at his background, where he came from. So from 2013 to 2022, he spent 10 years in various academy coaching roles at Leicester City, eventually leading the club's under-18 side. Very long apprenticeship, which has given him a foundation in both youth development and modern coaching. He was then taken to Wigan Athletic by Kolo Toure as a first-team coach in the Championship. And that stint made him the first Sikh to hold a frontline coaching role at that level, exposed him to senior professional football in what was pretty much a challenging period for Wigan. And then this is the very interesting move. 2023, he moved to Italy to be the assistant of Cesc Fabregas at Como's academy. That overseas experience broadened his perspective, allowed him to learn from a World Cup winning player that is transitioning into coaching himself. Then last year he came back, served as a manager of Notts County's B team, their reserve team, gaining a bit of a first look as a head coach and that responsibility. And during that time, he completed his UEFA Pro license. So when it comes to, is this guy qualified? Yeah, massively so. One of the youngest coaches ever to earn Europe's highest coaching qualification. Those credentials underscore that this isn't just someone that's playing at this. This is far from an unqualified rookie. At 30 years of age, he has amassed a breadth and depth of experience in play development, tactical planning, coaching, if not hundreds of games as a manager. He is ready to start his first team football managerial career. Now, in Morecambe's official statement, they praised his excellent reputation as a forward-thinking coach and a leader, cited a wealth of experience in player development, tactical innovation, and building high-performance cultures. In short, he arrives at the Mazuma Stadium with the skill set and the knowledge ready to begin coaching. Now, it could all go tits up from here. He might not have the personality to be a first-team coach, but he's got the credentials. And his time working alongside the likes of Kolo Toure, Cesc Fabregas, they will have clearly influenced both his approach and how he gets treated by the players that are at Morecambe. Now, what he says is he's been fortunate enough to work with and learn from some incredible people. I'm especially grateful to Colo and to Cesc. Through those mentors, he says he understands what world-class standards look like, how to lead with clarity, and how to develop a team with identity. He's going to need all of those. That suggests that he's got his own philosophy nailed down, and his philosophy, I'll get it right, seems to emphasize a clarity of vision and a strong team identity, something that he's going to have. He has spoken about creating an environment for success, which I like. He says we will create an environment that brings the best out of people, that people want to be a part of, and that drives people to improve every single day. In practical terms, he's coming into this with a lot of experience, if not hundreds and hundreds of games as a first-team coach. When it comes to the on-pitch tactics, he's already signalled a desire for aggressive, high-energy style. He said his short-term goal is to keep them up by playing, and they've got some issues in that front at the moment as well, because I think they had 5 registered players at the time of me recording this, so they're due to play Altrincham this weekend. There's a chance that game gets called off. But his job is going to be to keep them up. Don't expect them to be getting into League 2 this time next year. I think his first job is to steady what has been a very, very unsteady ship. He goes on and says he can't wait to meet the fans and show them what an exciting team we can build that it represents, and all of the sort of things you would expect a new coach to sort of signal on the day he takes over. Now, if we rewind a little bit and talk about what's gone on with this takeover and the sort of trouble that Morecambe are in, you're all stepping into a job here that comes with big challenges. Morecambe have been through a really shit period on and off the field. In the 22-23 season, they were relegated from League 2 into what's the semi-pro ranks, if you like, of the National League. That brings with it an existential crisis. The money in the National League is just not the same as it was and will be in League 2. And financial troubles have left them on the verge of collapse. National League suspended the club's fixtures as they failed to meet financial obligations. They'd stopped being able to pay players and staff, which is where the previous boss had actually come in and started doing it a little bit out of his own pocket, which is mad commendable. And also a bit of a kick in the bollocks for him to get sacked basically the day the new owners take over. And it was looking pretty bleak that this could be another club on the brink of extinction. And that's when this consortium came in, the consortium that's calling itself the Panjab Warriors. They've completed the takeover of Morecambe, literally this week. And it's a group of London-based businessmen that have purchased the club from what was the Bond Group, I think, previous owners. And they're trying to bring some stability. The intervention has literally saved Morecambe. They were facing an imminent expulsion from the National League and potential extinction as a club. When clubs get expelled from the league, you basically have one swing at that to get back, and if you don't, then it can be curtains for it. And Morecambe as a town, I have no affiliation with Morecambe as a town, but it's a pretty famous football club and one that you certainly don't want to see go to the wall. Now, the first decision that those new owners did was to make a managerial change. Derek Adams, who's been a long-serving manager, he guided them to promotion back in 2021, was a big favourite amongst the fans, a big favourite amongst the staff and the players. He was sacked within hours of the takeover's completion. And that was a bold move given Adams' popularity, his track record. But the new ownership clearly wanted to signal a fresh start. Adams' place, was replaced. And Ashvir Johal is the man that they want to lead that new era. But why him? Why him over some more experienced names? And I don't think he applied for this job, but I'm going to bring John Terry's name up in this one because he's been crying in the media recently about lack of opportunities for players. Now, Morecambe are in a crisis. People have been wondering whether they would go for a seasoned head, a high-profile name maybe to bring some eyeballs to the project. And they didn't do that. They went with a novice. Although, to be fair, if they had have gone for somebody like a John Terry's a novice. Just because he's got 400 or 500 games for Chelsea and won loads as a player doesn't mean you're a good manager. And I think that's what the likes of John Terry seem to forget. John Terry's crying about the lack of coaching opportunities, and he says, I couldn't even get a job in League One. Now, we're talking about the National League here. There's obviously League Two before you get to League One in between those. But John Terry's experience, whenever he talks about his experience, by the way, he always leads with what he did as a player. And then he did a stint, was it a year or so, as assistant to Dean Smith. But I haven't heard of anything that he did with Dean Smith. Did he take the sessions? Did he have a big input into the coaching? Was he a part of the tactical evolution of what Aston Villa were trying to do at that time? Like, no one's ever come out and said, John Terry put on a great session, as far as I'm aware, and they might have done, but I haven't seen it if they have. You know, John Terry thinks that because he was an assistant for a year under someone else, that qualifies you to go and be a coach somewhere. Contrast that with this Johal kid who's out here. Like, John Terry's also went and got his UEFA Pro license. That's, you know, not for nothing. That's an incredible qualification to achieve. But it doesn't mean like this. It's like getting a degree. You have to have the work and the portfolio alongside that. I think if you looked at the coaching careers of Johal and John Terry, I think it's easy to make a case for Johal's appointment here. Now, it's impossible to ignore that Johal's appointment, as is already being noted by the likes of Kick It Out, is being seen as a victory for representation. Likely enabled by, I mean, I'm presuming here, I don't know any of the owners, but the fact that they're calling themselves the Panjab Warriors, I presume, you know, they're from a similar ethnic background to Johal. Now, it's probably the fact that their ethnic heritage is South Asian, that they've become the first people that have appointed a South Asian manager in English football. But I think it would be incredibly unfair to label this as a diversity hire, especially given his qualifications. You know, yeah, realistically, that new ownership might have been more open to giving a chance to an unknown British Asian coach because of their own heritage. Possibly more so than he would have received elsewhere in the pyramid. But I think the appointment is backed up, in Johal's case especially, by merit. You know, Kick It Out can say history made and fully deserved. Personally, I think the fully deserved part is the most important part of this. He's got to go and prove it now. Much like Will Still. Will Still probably always be known as the football manager coach. He's probably going to carry Johal around to be the first British Asian coach. Going with a famous ex-player probably would have generated more headlines. Also carries a risk that that person just absolutely lacks the coaching experience. I think even though Johal is not a household name, he's a man that's devoted over a decade of his life to coaching, to learning his craft. And like I said earlier, the most important, impressive part of this to me is the fact that he got out of his own way and went and did a year in Italy. That to me is impressive. No, he's up against it here with Morecambe because shit. It is an 11-a-side league, not a 5-a-side league. And if they've only got 5 players signed on, he is in a race against time to get that fixed. And I hope he's a success. Not just for British Asian football and the representation of British Asian football in this country, but also because if he's not a success, a lot of people will close their eyes to appointing a British Asian manager because one wasn't a success, which is fucking bananas thinking. It's like not appointing an ex-player that used to be a defender because you had a defender once who wasn't a good coach. It's fucking nuts. But racism does still exist in boardrooms, and it exists within managerial appointments. Have I got a copy here? Don't think I've got a copy here, but I usually have a copy of Soccernomics within arm's reach, nerdly as it would be. They have a great chapter on racism within coaching. And they said it's quite easy when one player is better than another player. You can go, that player is better than that player. How do I know? I can fucking see it. Look, he's better than him. And if he just happens to be a black player and this happens to be a white player, I can go, I think he's better. And he will get picked. But because managing is not understood, because coaching is dependent on so many other factors. And as I say, so often people attribute so much more to coaching and managers than they should. Your team and the team that you've got is a better indicator of how well that team's going to do than any managerial appointment. Good teams will do well. They will do well despite multiple managerial appointments. Bad teams will do bad despite multiple managerial appointments. There are outliers. There's always outliers. A good manager can have a good impact on a team, and a bad manager can have a bad impact on a team, but not to the extent that people think. People were going to cite Steven Gerrard and Unai Emery. That was a team going from a bad manager to a good manager, so they saw an outsized uplift in it. But for the most, this is the bit people struggle with. For the most part, most managers are generally competent. Most football managers are subject matter experts when it comes to coaching and running teams, and they are not having a negative impact on that squad. The ability of the players generally is the thing that's having the biggest impact upon that squad. Soccernomics has got a fantastic explanation of that, and by proxy why racism still persists when it comes to appointments and coaching and stuff like that. So I would love to see that attitude change, because I don't think there's any particular race that's better or worse as managers. I think it's just about people and managing people. And fucking hell, look at the diversity of football teams. There's no way that one race should have a stranglehold on anything when it comes to managing a group of people. It makes fuck all sense to me. But yeah, I thought it was a really interesting topic. As I was just off my own back interested in what was going on, I just thought I could make a video out of this. And John Terry was in my head fucking from last week, moaning about lack of appointments and how he's given up on coaching and this, that and the other. But does that not sum it up? The fact that this guy spent 10 years coaching in Leicester's academy and then took a job as a coach with Wigan, and then took a coaching job in Italy, and then took a job as Notts County manager for their B team, and then took a job as a first team manager in the National League. Was John Terry prepared to do that? When I look at Wayne Rooney, gets a lot of shit. When I look at Wayne Rooney, I see a player or a manager that clearly loves coaching, clearly wants to be involved in football, clearly wants to pass on what he knows. And it ain't gone well for him. Certainly not everywhere he's been. Probably Derby was where it was going, the best it was going for him. But Wayne Rooney is probably fucking. He could take the Droylsden job next, because I don't think he gives a fuck. I just think he wants to be involved in coaching. And I see the likes of John Terry thinking that they're too good to do this at whatever level. And I just think, well, that's the issue. Now, I do think there is a lack of English coaches. When you look at that golden generation of players, it's a shame that more of them haven't stepped into coaching. But is that because they're too arrogant to do the legwork? Or is it a wider issue when it comes to the way that the FA manage coaching courses? Fucking hell, my mate Ash literally coaches an under-13s team, a grassroots team, has been offered, he does a bit with Paddock, but he's been offered, without giving the game away for him, jobs because of what he achieved in the game. Managerial jobs, director of football jobs, assistant manager jobs at more than one thing. And he said no. That's someone with... He was a hell of a Premier League player. Perhaps not John Terry level in terms of what he went on and won. But the clubs he's played for and the national team he represented, he's a fucking legend. But at the same time, he's out there Tuesday night, Thursday night, Sunday morning, doing the work, putting the work in, coaching. Okay, coaching East Manchester League under 13s is obviously not the same as coaching full-time professionals. But if he ever does decide to step into a full-time coaching role, there's things that he will have picked up and learnt along the way that will be invaluable to him. I think there's an absolute lack of desire, or maybe not a lack of desire, but a desire for shortcuts that exists with that so-called golden generation. Like, if it's not a Premier League club, I'm not interested. I mean, I'll even give Steven Gerrard credit. Stand by, because this isn't going to happen very fucking often. But Steven Gerrard coached Liverpool under 18s as their manager. I saw him on the sideline coaching Liverpool under 18s at games I was at. It's a man that was out there doing the work. To Paul Scholes. Managed fucking Salford. Doesn't sound like he enjoyed it, if we're being honest. But he went and did the fucking work. So I got a lot of time for appointments for people that are dedicating their life to doing something. And as someone who didn't play professional football, actually played professionally at another sport, like I did with rugby league, I don't think I have a desire to be a professional football coach. But I think the people that are showing you that being a player is not the only prerequisite when it comes to managing is interesting. You know what I mean? Anyway, let me know your thoughts on anything that I've just said, and I'll see you in the next one. Laters. And good luck to Johal as well. I'll be watching to see how you get on. See you in a bit. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.